What is up, YouTube? This is AVAULT here, back again today with you guys another new Speed Duel deck profile video, and today we have another competitive top tier deck profile for you guys. If you guys seen the match duel the other day, be sure to watch that out as well. Really surprising match that we were up against, and definitely highly recommend you guys to see that, and also to see how this deck runs in action as well. So yeah, the channel has been focusing a lot on more competitive content lately for speed duels, as because we're going into this tournament season. Lots of online tournaments happening around the summertime right here. More people are participating and all that, so be sure to know that I pop in and out these online tournaments every now and then, so be sure to stay tuned and check out if I'm participating in some of them, so you guys can play against me, duel against me. I know many of you guys are interested and want to play with me, and that's the perfect place to do so. So be sure to stay tuned and check that out, and join those Discord servers that I have mentioned before. Anyways, right here we are showcasing the Inner Conflict Warrior Control. That's the full name, or otherwise the short name is called Conflict Warrior deck profile right here with Yami Bakura. So for our card sleeves, we are using our good old friend World Championship Qualifier official Konami sleeves right here. Of course, because we're playing a competitive deck, it makes sense to use a competitive sleeve to match up with this. And some of you guys are really interested in the sleeves that I use on the channel and showcase you guys if you guys want to purchase some of your own of some exclusive OCG sleeves that you've never seen before that you can't get in the TCG, but they are tournament legal. Be sure to check out the eBay link in the description down below. We do sell some exclusive ones, and we do ship worldwide to anywhere of you guys, so be sure to check that out, and I really appreciate the support. Anyways, moving into the deck profile right here, Inner Conflict. It's a very simple skill, Yami Bakura right here. You guys seen the budget Yami Bakura deck before. It utilizes the skill as well. Basically, activate the skill during your main phase. Once we're duel, you can pay half your life points and basically take control of one of your opponent's monster until the end of the turn, but it can't attack directly. So when you're reading the skill, it's just like meh in the beginning, but once you really understand how to fully potentially capitalize and create opportunities with the skill, it's just absolutely amazing. And this is exactly why, and I'm going to show you guys why. We do play 2 Gap the Divine Soldiers. It's sort of like a secret boss monster of the deck that surprises the opponent, actually, but it's no surprise, a lot of people know it. But we do play a warrior based deck. It is a warrior heavy warrior engine, but this is basically your common combo. You use Inner Conflict to steal one of your opponent's monsters, and you tribute it and bring out Gap the Divine Soldier, and many times you are able to close games with the skill alone. You can even turn the tides around, which is really good. The skill is not complicated at all, so it's just very interesting to see how powerful this deck and this skill synergizes to become one of the top tier competitive decks in the current format as well. So now moving into our actual warrior engine, we are playing triple Charging Guy the Fierce Knight. I do really like this card personally because it's a 1900 beater onto the board with 2100 defense that retains on it with it by summoning its effect without using any tributes, so definitely a 3-of no matter what. The next one, I would play triple Gear Freed as well, the Iron Knight right here, simply because there's so many Dark Moths and there's still a lot of Parasite decks running around in the competitive scene at the moment. Gear Freed is crucial and essential for this deck because it basically counters and stops Parasite decks or any Dark Moth decks from accelerating as fast as they could, which does put them in place nicely with Gear Freed the Iron Knight. Now, we don't play Blade Knight anymore in this deck. I would like to call this deck like the new era of warrior control, where before in like several formats or even last year prior, Blade Knight control was known to be that top tier deck of the meta, and Blade Knight has fallen off because of these much more powerful and better monsters to play in the deck overall. And Blade Knight is not a guaranteed 2000 beater. It only becomes 2000 when you're guaranteed to have like 1 or less cards from your hand, but these monsters are consistently 1800, 1900. They're just as good anyways. Next we are seeing another old friend right here, Command Knight. Triple Command Knight is just great. Works out really well to boost up your attacks. The Command Knight lock is still very annoying to deal with. Not many people are prepared for this. There are some players that do side in warrior elimination just in case they're up against this type of deck, but we don't see it often enough. So Command Knight is actually really strong, but you guys can actually play some other cards to substitute for Command Knight if you guys don't like it as much. I like Command Knight just simply because it boosts up Gaia and Gear Freed, and it makes them a very powerful monsters and very difficult to deal with overall. But you guys can even play like Eudoria or other spells and traps to really make up for it. Totally up to your choice, but this has worked out the best for me in terms of monster count, allowing us to consistently bring out monsters all the time. So right here, that basically rounds up the monsters. Moving into our spells, we are playing Double Night Beam, my favorite back row removal other than Dust Tornado, because it's fast, it's efficient, your opponent can't respond to it, it takes people by surprise even still to this day. Some of you guys like Twister instead, go for it, but this works out the most for me overall. Next we're playing Offerings to the Doomed, best spell as well in the game. You can basically just pop any monster your opponent controls for free, and not really for free, but you have to give up your draw. And yes, sometimes this card can really backfire in certain situations and scenarios, which really unfavors you, but that's okay. You really need to learn through experience that when is the right time to do so. You know, just using this card without thinking and blindly can cost you a lot, but using at the very correct time and being patient and targeting the opponent's monster that is crucial to them really helps you win and take advantage and take the lead in the game to basically finish them off in the next 2 turns initially. So I still think this is a really good card to main in the deck. It works very well in this deck specifically. I usually like to side deck this card in for other decks, but this deck in particular, just perfect. Absolutely amazing to have it. So definitely highly recommend 2. Some people even play 3 because how good this card really is. So now moving into our traps, that rounds up for our spells. Best trap in the game, as I mentioned, for back row removal, triple Dust Tornado. It's crucial. You need to remove the Nightmare Wheels. You need to remove the Zomas. Because of this, Dust Tornado just works the most versatile of all in popping up all those back row cards that are very highly played in the current meta overall. Next, we are playing double Zomas right here, also one of the best traps in the game. It's also basically a monster, but a very annoying monster trap to deal with, and only answer to it is usually basically Night Beam, Dust Tornado, or Twisters, which your opponent will always have to basically want to use them to remove this card, because you know it's an 1800 beater, really strong, has an effect that inflicts damage to your opponent when it's destroyed by battle even. I might even go for one more right here. Just looking back at it, you know, if you guys don't like Command Knight as much, Zoma the Spirit, you know, taking out one Command Knight or playing something else entirely to give yourself a free space for one more extra Zoma, totally go for it. Totally up to you guys as well. It's definitely workable. What I really like about this deck is there's so many tiny, the generic build is very similar for everybody, but there's very tiny minor differences in terms of 1 or 2 other cards and ratios that you play could really change it up and, you know, make it feel better for yourself in many different scenarios. So really tailored the deck to suit your own taste. That's what I'm trying to say. So right here, this is the main deck, 20 cards, no more or less. I'd have thought of playing 21, but we don't play any draw power at all. We don't play any searching at all. I think 20 is the best ratio, best number to always keep with when we don't have any of those things over on this deck. So yeah, use my main deck. This is basically the entire main deck. Use my main deck as a reference, as a template to your own, to create your own. There's so many minor different variations out there, so be sure to use mine as just a reference for your own creation, and I hope it inspires you. Now moving into the side deck, we are playing actually a different skill in our side deck. Twisted Personality works out really well, especially in the competitive scene, simply because, you know, you do run into decks that play like Gravekeeper Burn or just generic Twisted Personality Burn. You would need this card to help you sort of offset and come back and compete against them to make it just as good, so that when you or your opponent loses life points, you can gain those counters and start ripping cards and popping monsters rather than them being the only person able to do so. So that way you can even out the resources. And another way to even out resources is to use playing Golden Ladybug right here to replenish your life points if you're being burned a lot all the time. Really great against Nightmare Wheel, good against Gravekeeper's Curse so that you don't lose as many life points overall, and will help you basically stick in the game a little bit longer, which is definitely crucial. So one of is all you really need. DD Crow, I always like to side at least one of this in, just in case if you're against any graveyard-centric decks. There are not many right now, but there are in some situations and scenarios you do really need that DD Crow just to remove that graveyard monster or card off away. Next I play Lava Golem. Lava Golem is also really good, like, sort of monster removal, which can really surprise your opponent. And the reason why it's so good, it's actually not it's not really great as a monster itself overall, I would say, within this deck, but it's a very good card that mentally takes your opponents by surprise. And many people overextend. They don't respect it. They don't know what's coming. And Lava Golem is almost like Sphere Karibo in a different manner, where you just completely surprise your opponent, remove 2 of their monsters, and there you go. You give them Lava Golem, and it'd be starting to take 1000 damage every single turn. So it's really good for removing problematic monsters, 2 of them in one whole go. Next, I actually play 1 Blast held by Attribute, which is a definitely interesting choice because we also, once again, is to accommodate for the competitive scene. We're not the only one playing Inner Conflict or Control, whatever it is. There are many decks out there that are playing their own versions of Inner Conflict, and when you're mirror matched against them, Blast held by Attribute is going to be the key card that helps you change the entire game and the entire course to lead you to winning, rather than relying on the cards that you're drawing all the single time, because your opponent's going to play a very identical deck, and at that point it really comes slim down to who has a better hand. And if you play Blast held by Attribute and they take your monsters, tribute it, summon Gap, and you play Blast, it's really great in basically overturning the situation back to your own control. That's why you play it. Next, last but not least, we are playing 1 Jar of Avarice right here. Since this deck is like 20 cards, you know, sometimes when games get grindy, it can deplete your resources eventually, and you do need that Jar of Avarice to replenish your resource. So that basically is my side deck. It's up to personal choice, up to personal taste. Play your side deck accordingly to what your locals and what your tournaments are, with the people around you are, so that you can accommodate the most of it right here. So last but not least, of course, as always, you guys must not have an extra deck just for the sake of it. So 6 random fusion monsters, that's basically it. So yeah, this basically rounds up the entire deck profile right here. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about it, what cards you guys would suggest adding, what cards you guys would take out. You know, totally open to hear about your suggestions and discussions. After all, this is just my own version and my own reference. So once again, please guys, just use my deck as your own, as your own reference to build upon yours as a starting point overall. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. So if you guys did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the AVAULT channel for more awesome Yu-Gi-Oh Speed Duel content. And I definitely want to play this deck again and showcase it in another Speed Duel match eventually. If you guys have any suggestions of any match duels that you want me to play this deck against, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. I will try to figure it out, and hopefully we can get recording in as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. You know, as always, you guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. And this is AVAULT signing out.